Hi everyone, welcome to the Latte Lounge. And tonight we're continuing with the second in the series of our Let's Get Intimate month of weekly live events. This time we're going to be focusing on taking control of your sex life in partnership with Silk Natural Lubricant. Vaginal dryness affects most women at some stages in their lives, especially around menopause when hormones fluctuate. Using a natural lubricant like Silk Intimate to hydrate and soothe can make all the difference. It's a plant-based, pH-friendly lubricant that soothes vaginal dryness, itching and soreness. It's also recommended by health professionals and it's NHS approved. And Silk are actually offering all Latte Loungers an exclusive 30% off during February. Just go to their website, which is silk.co.uk, and use the code LL30 at checkout. And you can use this offer until the 28th of February 2021. So we're just going to wait for a few people to join us. And while we are, I just wanted to summarize that each week we'll be talking about midlife, sex, love and relationships and women's health in midlife, menopause and beyond. Last week we spoke to Dr. Nigat Arif about the symptoms of menopause and how they can affect your sex life, as well as we talked about different treatment options. But tonight, we're actually going to be focusing much more on feeling empowered, liberated, and confident in the bedroom, including ways to spice up your sex life in midlife and beyond. And our guests are going to lay bare their midlife mantra of discovering passion, losing your inhibitions, and feeling liberated even after menopause. And we're going to be focusing on enjoyment and creating our own pleasurable moments, whether you're in a relationship or single. We're also going to be recognizing that for many of us, we've got to address certain issues and barriers to healthy sex life, such as illness, surgery, and menopausal symptoms. So we're going to be here for around half an hour, and we'll be answering lots of questions at the end too. So I'm going to say hello to our special guests. So who better to talk to about taking control of your sex life than my two fabulous guests. We have Rejuvage's Louise Proddow. Hi, Louise.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to see you. And sex educator Renée Denyer from Shush Store. Hi, Renée. Thank you for... Oh, it's lovely having you both here, and I'm wearing my red jumper for you because it's Valentine's Day soon, so I thought enough pink.
I've got something red on as well.
Oh my God.
I think we need another peek of that.
It's a little harness.
Amazing. Ooh.
I thought I'd got away with it being modest when you had something black on. Oh, it's brilliant. Anyway, look guys, thanks for coming in and for shocking me so quickly. Right, before I talk to you guys, I wanted to obviously give everyone who's watching a little bit of background into you both, and then we'll go further into the bedroom. So as I said, Louise is the founder of Rejuvage. It's a platform for midlife women, and she's also the founder of Tweak Marketing. A pro-age advocate, Louise is also a qualified wellness coach, an entrepreneur, writer, empty nester, mother of two girls. She's also got 2 donkeys, 3 dogs, and she's a farm girl who I've been told is often found naked, wandering around embracing her hippie side as part of her own empowering journey. And with Louise's hormones raging and a new sense of freedom over 50, there was no way she was ready to be invisible, discarded, and labelled as past it. And with Louise's entrepreneurial spirit, she set out to reshape the midlife mindset in others too, breaking down taboos and stigmas to help us midlifers navigate a healthier and happier life. So Louise, we're going to be talking in a couple of minutes about the emotional connection you need with a partner for a good sex life shortly. But I thought I will now introduce Renée, who hopefully isn't going to flash me.
Not today.
Oh, good. So Renée is an award-winning store manager at Shush Store. It's a women's erotic emporium, and she has her fingers in many pies, and I'm told she spends her days talking about G-spots, P-spots, and any other spots you might find in your nether regions. She writes a regular column for Erotic Trade Only magazine, and she dreams of penning a best-selling sex guide one day. So Renée, we're going to be talking in a minute also about the physical side of female sexuality and pleasure, and hopefully you're going to give us some tips for a better sex life in midlife.
Absolutely.
So ladies, let's start with Louise. Now, Louise, look, I'm a midlife mum. I, like you, juggling kids, dogs. I haven't got donkeys. But, with our hormones plummeting and very, very busy lives, we hear all the time from women about their libido either not being there and their sex life is pretty much, at the bottom of their to-do list. So just talk to me, why do you think sex is such an important part of life?
Well, I hope we don't end up like pandas, because that's one of the problems pandas are having. They're not having enough sex and they kind of gave up on it. So, and I think that if we're not careful, that's going to happen. There used to be a statistic that people were having sex 3 times a week, but it's really gone down now. I think the average is more like 3 times a month. And especially in lockdown, we've all realized that human contact, connection, intimacy, touching, sex isn't just about the orgasm and the act. Sometimes I think we oversimplify sex as if it's just like very functional, but to me, sex is about the theatre, it's about the connection, the intimacy, feeling like happy with yourself. It's really like it's a release, so you get the oxytocin, so it makes you happy. So, and there is research that having sex, whether that's self-pleasuring or with a partner, helps you age better. It gets the blood flowing. It's a form of exercise. It's stimulating, and your body and your vagina needs sex, and I think your brain needs physical and human contact and touching, or touching yourself and as well. So I'm a big believer that it's a human need, and sometimes we suppress it because of there's so much going on in your life when you forget how enjoyable it is. Yeah.
I suppose a lot of people say it's a bit like riding a bike. Once you stop and you forget, it's almost like too much of an effort to sort of get back on the bike and go. But is life without sex a good option, do you think?
Well, I'd hope that wouldn't happen to people. I think there's times in your life, if you've had a trauma, or you've got mental illness, or you've had surgery, I think there are times when it's okay to accept that this isn't a sexual phase for you. But I hear from a lot of women that are frustrated because they feel they've lost their libido and they're having a life without sex, but they don't want that, and they don't know how to make the small steps on the journey to start feeling sexual again. So, I think it's a choice, but I think that mentally and physically, I think having sex and intimacy in your life is a lot more healthy. And one of my friends, she hadn't had sex for a couple of years, and she had found herself in a situation where she was about to have sex, and she just like completely couldn't even get the penis inside her, and she thought she had cancer. She hadn't even heard of vaginal atrophy, or she didn't, she'd got all these symptoms, and because she hadn't been having it, and then she thought, right, well, I really want to have a good sex life, and she's gone to the doctors, got estrogen, and she's self-pleasuring to open things up and learn to relax, and now she's enjoying a good sex life. And I think that's a story to me that means a lot, because it's about someone that had given up on it and then thought there was something physically wrong with her. But by making small steps, she's getting a lot of pleasure now.
Yeah, because look, I think often women talk about uncomfortable, perhaps painful sex, and you know, and creeping anxiety, and there's the whole sort of lower body self-confidence. And we were talking last week to Dr. Arif about, you know, vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy, and using lubricants and relaxing, and you know, a lot of women, especially in menopause, just think, well, this is how it has to be, and you know, we discuss that it doesn't have to be that way. So, you know, do you think it's something, you know, obviously hormones aside for a minute, but a lot of women, I mean, myself included, you know, through the years of having babies and going through menopause, you know, a lot of women often put on weight and they're too busy to even, or have the headspace to lose weight or get fit and everything. Do you think that has a massive impact as well in terms of, you know, actually feeling comfortable in your own skin too?
Oh yeah, I think body confidence and self-confidence have a huge impact, and I think we've got to, and in the past, I think it's changing now, but in the past the media made you feel like, oh, only younger women, they showed only younger women or certain types of women. But now with, you know, more diversity and everything, we're realizing, and a good thing, that all body shapes are sexual. And you know, like, I think that embracing your curves and your softness and the touch of your skin, and starting talking to yourself in a kinder voice and appreciating certain parts of your body, and you know, if you're lacking in confidence, just getting a little bit more exercise. You know, you don't have to be doing big HIIT classes every day, but just making small steps so that you feel positive about your body, and also finding some role models and people on social media that are positive confidence advocates, but not in a conventional way, because there is a lot of support online for other women, you know, like we're doing today. So
yeah, I mean, you posted this morning on your Instagram. It was fabulous. If anyone's on Instagram, have a look at Louise's post this morning. She's wearing a beautiful red. Well, she's not wearing very much, but it was just fabulous. Where do you get that self-confidence from, and what are your sort of little nuggets, you know, from your, perhaps your existing relationships, any relationships you're in now, to, you know, what's worked for you that you could sort of pass on for some, you know, confidence?
You know, let's be honest, like it looks like I'm ultra confident posting things like that, but I get a bit of anxiety before I post it. I even sent it to my 19-year-old daughter and said, oh, will you be upset if I post this? So I still like, I push myself to a limit. And I think that's one of the things you have to get confidence. You have to push yourself slightly beyond your comfort zone, maybe. You know, like, if you want to dress up, you know, you might not be confident enough just to walk in the lounge. Woohoo! You know, here I am in all my gear. But there's nothing wrong with you secretly putting your hold-ups on or something in the bed, and then when your partner gets in bed with you, they've got a little surprise. You can do things more subtly and gradually. So I think for me, body confidence and confidence has been small steps, and also accepting who you are and thinking, well, I'm happy with who I am. If other people aren't happy, or, you know, I get some negative comments when I post pictures of myself, blokes saying yuck, and some people don't like seeing older women in underwear, and it's, I kind of just say, well, thanks for being honest. You're allowed your opinion. It doesn't upset me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy with my own body. It's not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect. I don't want to be all muscly everywhere. I've got stretch marks. I've got one bad leg. I limp a bit sometimes, but, you know, I like it. So I think it's, none of us are perfect. And, you know, sometimes that phase of like fake it till you make it. I think you might not be in the mood for being sexual. You might not feel confident, but put some makeup on, treat yourself to something, buy yourself a new sex toy, explore yourself in a different way, wear something. It doesn't have to be sexy in a conventional way.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of women who, well, whether you're single or in a new relationship or in a very long relationship, I think we need to, I like the word you use about feeling liberated and not invisible. We are, a lot of us, whether you're 40 or 50 or beyond, as your kids start growing up, and it's almost like we do deserve some time now for us to kind of remember how we used to feel, in the early days. And Renée, I'll come back to you, Louise, because it's been brilliant talking, and you have to give us a twirl as well. You can't just keep all that hidden.
Oh, what hidden?
We can't. Yeah, exactly that. Renée, talk to me also. So, why do you think women stop wanting to have sex and pleasure? Is there some sort of guilt attached to it, do you think?
Possibly. I think actually my first comment would be, do they? Or do they just kind of forget how to be sexual and how to feel sexy? And I think a lot of the time what happens is, especially for women, we are nurturers. We tend to put other people first. So it tends to be like, if you have children or if you have horses, donkeys, dogs, the housework, shopping, you're organizing everything. And I think at the end of the day, there isn't enough energy left to kind of think, you know what, I'm going to feel all sexy, I'm going to get hot and bothered now. It's like, oh my God, it's 11 o'clock, there's laundry in the machine. I can't cope with this sexiness right now. But we do meet a lot of women at the shop who they've been in long-term relationships and maybe the flame it's burnt out maybe, or they don't feel very good in themselves. And this can be sort of part of menopause. And I really liked what Louise said about embracing your curves, for example, because some of us, we put on weight and then we don't feel very good about ourselves, and we kind of think, maybe I need to hide myself away, surely nobody wants to look at this. And I really like Louise's photo on Instagram today, and I think that's actually a really great tip. Even if you don't want to put yourself in lingerie on Instagram, you can take some little pictures just for yourself, that maybe you keep them just for yourself on your phone, or maybe you want to share them with your partner. But little things that you can do that kind of makes you think about sex or think about feeling sexy. And I think a lot of it is to do with how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your partner. We also meet a lot of women who find that sex has sort of become routine. And they never kind of step out of that. So it's like a little bit of kissing, a little bit of touching, and then the penis goes into the vagina, but it doesn't really do much for them. That's not how they get their pleasure. And also, one of the things that's sort of very big for us, we meet a lot of women who experience vaginal pain during sex. And of course, if you have experienced pain, the brain will anticipate the pain coming back. So even before you're in the position of anything going in anywhere, you kind of tense up. Yeah. So it sort of becomes almost like a vicious circle, because you expect the pain comes, and then you don't want to have sex because you start associating sex and pleasure with pain. And it takes quite a lot of work to sort of come out of that and finding your pleasure again, but it is possible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of couples, or a lot of women that we hear from are embarrassed to even talk about their sex lives. And I don't know whether that comes from the generation before us, where it was very taboo, and good girls don't talk about that, and only bad girls talk about that. And I think and I'm sure most men, and I don't mean to be a generalist, but would probably love it if their wives actually started talking about it. Even, next week we're talking to a relationship counsellor about the psychology behind it. But I am a big believer in not being quiet and talking about this sort of thing with each other, because I think a lot of men probably think there's something wrong with them, and often they don't get the hormone side of things, or the exhaustion of juggling everything. But how can women better enjoy sex and self-pleasure? Are there anything sort of couples can do if penetrative sex is painful?
Oh, absolutely. I'd also like to say that communication about sex is so important, both about the things you like and you like more of, and the things you don't like, or the things that don't feel good for you. And a lot of couples, we find that they have sex, but they don't talk about it. And there are lots of little ways that you kind sort of build on the communication, and I can come back to that in a bit. But talking about things that they can do if she's feeling pain during sex and self-pleasure, and what she can do to enjoy other things. So first of all, giving yourself permission for pleasure is really, really important, because as women, we haven't been brought up to say that, yes, I want all of this pleasure, I want all of the orgasms, I want to explore all of the things. If anything, most of us have been brought up to not really talk about sex. We don't, not to ourselves, not to our partners, not to our friends. And we meet women who've been married for years and years and years, and they just cannot bring themselves to say the word vagina, for example. It's sort of, it's too much, it's too shameful. But there are lots of things that couples can do to play together. And in the shop, or when I go to see groups like this, I bring Rosie. This is my little vulva puppet. She's very pretty. She's rather oversized, so if your vulva is smaller, don't worry. I think if we all had vulvas this size, we would just stay at home and masturbate all day. We wouldn't get any work done.
Oh, this is fabulous.
So one of the things that we find really important is that people don't necessarily know what's down there. Yeah. They don't know what the bits are or what you can do with them. So we kind of talk a lot about how to stimulate the outside. You mentioned lube earlier. You mentioned lube is the best thing. If you only ever buy one thing from a sex shop in your whole life, it should be a really good bottle of lube. It can make all the difference. So lubrication makes everything really sensual and slidey. And if there's a little bit of pain, like a little bit of dry area inside and there's friction, the lube can help with that. I would say if it's a pain that kind of keeps coming back every time you're having sex, you do need to have that checked out. So don't just kind of ignore it. Don't lie back and think of England. Those days are gone. We're not going to do that. Vibrators are a really fun way to kind of explore more pleasure. And in the olden days, vibrators used to be this massive, cumbersome thing that would like rock the whole house. But these days, you can get really tiny little ones. So this is a little fingertip vibrator. If someone was to find it, they wouldn't know what it was, I'm pretty sure. And men and women can enjoy these. Women can play with them on their own, and they can enjoy them as part of a couple as well. And the thing with these is that you can just kind of very gently sort of stroke around the clitoral hood, the labia lips, the outer labia lips. If you have, I have very helpfully brought a pink penis as well. It's always good to have a spare one. So if you have a male partner, you can absolutely play with a vibrator on him as well. But vibration, what it does, it helps with your arousal, and it helps with the blood flow. Like Louise said, the blood flow is really, really important. And the more blood you can get into the vulva, the more it swells, the more aroused you will become, the wetter you will become. And there used to be this sort of old myth that said, you know, only finger stimulation or your partner stimulation, you shouldn't need a vibrator. I call BS on that. We call BS on that. There are so many different things to explore. And I think society tells us that the only real sex is penis and vagina. That kind of sex doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone wants that. And you can have so much fun. Sex is like this whole buffet that you can just like pick the little bits that you like. I do have a whole table full of sex toys here.
Oh, so come on, quickly show us. Yes. I want to see it all.
I see it all. Now, this is one of my favorites. This is called a pebble vibrator. So this is very classy and stylish. Now, the good thing about this is that it kind of disperses the vibrations. So what a lot of people don't know is that the clitoris has legs. So the tip you see, but the clitoris has legs on the inside, underneath the vulva. And with a vibrator like this, it kind of vibrates underneath the membranes, underneath the skin. So you can actually feel it in the whole of the vulva. And you can just like lay it on like that. You can hold it against you. If you're by yourself, your partner can hold it against you. So we love those. If you like internal stimulation, I have this, it almost looks like a little toothbrush shape. But this is a really nice slim G-spot vibrator. So any toy that has a bump at the end is there to help find and stimulate the G-spot. Now this one is really slim. If you ask a guy what kind of sex toy his partner would like, he will most likely say, oh, something really big. Yeah. But what we have found, when women shop for themselves, they choose very small, classy looking toys. And we measure them in fingers. This one at its widest point is about 1.5 fingers. So when women come to us and they say, well, I would like to buy a toy, but I don't really know. We do ask some very personal questions. And I might say something like, if you play with fingers, how many fingers feels just right? So she might say 1 or 2. Maybe she says a whole hand. That's fine too. But this is kind of how we help them choose. And we always recommend starting small. Do you want to know more? Do you want to know about pelvic floor exercises?
I think we've got a couple more minutes.
Question, yeah.
And actually, yes, pelvic floor is really important because our last series we're doing the week after next is with Elaine Miller, who's a pelvic floor physio.
Ah, gusset grip.
Yeah, gusset grippers. And it is a really important thing to talk about pelvic floor, especially during menopause and after childbirth. Yeah. So you can quickly show us.
Very quick, yes.
Yes.
Pelvic floor exercises. If you find that you leak a little bit when you sneeze or you run, it is likely that your pelvic floor is weakened. So something like this, you lube it up, always lubrication, pop it inside the vagina so the string stays outside, and you do your pelvic floor exercises around them. So what this does is it brings blood to the vulva, it strengthens your pelvic floor, it rolls against your G-spot so you can use it for arousal, and it can also help strengthening your orgasms.
Okay, well that's fantastic. Okay, I mean, actually, I just want to quickly say that Renée's offering everyone 15% off throughout. I think it's the 11th to the 18th of February, isn't it, Renée?
Yeah.
What's the website address in case anyone wants?
Yeah, sh-womenstore.com, and we have a chat box, so you can always pop into the chat box, and we can help tailor something for you.
Yeah, and that information is going to be on our blog post that we'll share later. So, Louise, very quickly, obviously you don't want to get too personal unless you're happy to. How's your sex life going? Tell us your your innermost things that you think that we should all know about you, or maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah, I have a really passionate and active sex life. My partner's a PT and he's very fit and up for it a lot of the time. And I think the key for us is exploration. And a bit like Renée says, I'll be going to use the 15% discount. And, in the past, I've been to torture gardens. Like I said, I like the theatre. I like dressing up. For me, sex can become boring. I think for a lot of people, I haven't been in long-term relationships. I'm a bit dysfunctional in relationships. I'm trying to work on that. But so, I like to keep things fresh. And so for me, it's very much about exploration, about talking stories, the build up, like you said, about the pictures. I like to create the mood, and a lot of it in my head needs to be in it. And then just one more thing, just sorting out your physical side. You know, if you are having pain, or, you know, I'm going to the doctors tomorrow for some more blood tests because my HRT is not working, but I won't put up with compromising if I'm not feeling 100% physically in a sexual way. I will push the doctors to help me feel my best self in that region.
Absolutely, and that was the whole purpose that, you know, I started this forum, because until you've balanced your hormones, whether it's through HRT or through those that, you know, don't want to use HRT, through whatever works for you, you know, in the natural way, you know, you can't actually get on with the rest of your life and enjoy it, because that, you know, that's really the most important thing. But I mean, it's been really fantastic talking to you both. I think you're amazingly liberated women, and I might have to show my husband this video later. But really, thank you. And also thanks again, obviously, to our sponsor, Silk. You can get a free sample of Silk on their website. And obviously, as I said, 30% off products throughout February. Their website's www.silk.co.uk. And don't forget to follow us on all our socials. Instagram is @loungethelatte, and Twitter is lounge_latte, and obviously we're on LinkedIn and Facebook. And next week, as I said, we're going to be talking to a psychotherapist husband and wife team, Karen and Glenn Barrow, and with them we're going to be talking about navigating relationships, new and old, in midlife and beyond, because as Renée, you so rightly said, that there is this psychological barrier that stops a lot of women actually, you know, enjoying their sex life. So it's been really great chatting to you guys, and I love what you're wearing, Louise. I wish I had that confidence.
Thank you. It's been a fun evening. You've livened up my lockdown. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Renée. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone. You've got no excuse now to go and plan something lovely.
Even if it's for yourself.
Oh, all right. Well, look, have a lovely evening, guys. And thanks, everyone, in the Facebook group for joining us. And
Thank you.
Instagram as well.
Bye.
Bye.